Welcome back, listeners, to the Brighter Side of Blue, our worldwide podcast coming to you almost live from Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis. It is the home of the famous thin crust Seabo's Pizza and daily lunch specials. I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
Riverman John.
Producer John, why are you wearing these goggles?
I have cataract surgery today.
How'd it go?
It went good, but I don't see so well right now.
You know, how many fingers do I have up?
One.
Good, dude. Pretty good job.
So you drove yourself?
Tom came pick me up. I insisted on driving them.
Right.
Lies.
I had that on one eye. It's not that bad. You wake up and you immediately see better.
Yeah, it's just at first it's a little blurry and scratchy. So it'll
Those
be.
sunglasses are sweet.
Yeah,
those are.
Those,
Yeah.
those are some nice.
If you're going to give them away
sunglasses.
later, I'll take them.
I'm gonna autograph them.
Tommy, every listener, besides liking, subscribing, and sharing, because that's how we've grown this grassroots podcast to 39 million viewers
Or more.
in 86 countries.
Yeah, a couple more than that, too.
Like, subscribe, and share. But stay tuned tonight. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Leyshock comes on talking some undercover stories.
Yep.
He is phenomenal. Lakeshaw, like they used to call him on
He
the
is Lakeshaw
north
in the
side.
hood.
Yeah, and so he tells some good undercover stories. He was one of the best.
How it started.
He might be the most well-known police officer in North City.
Yep.
There's people that still to this day will say, I saw Leyshock. I saw
Lakeshaw.
Leyshock.
Well, he was like a myth. I remember it was Brian Dolan told me the story is that they were in a house doing something, and Jerry and he was a Sergeant Leyshock at the time, and Brian was working for him, and they did a search warrant or whatever, and there was a kid in there going, "Yeah, man, you know Lakeshaw?" And he's in the house with him. he's like, "No, Lakeshaw." He's like, "You know?" And Brian asked the kid, "Do you know Lakeshaw?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "How tall is he?" It's like 6'6". So he described like an Adonis. So he's not,
That was
Jerry's
me.
in the house.
I was partners when they were talking about
People
me.
mistaking you.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, that's what it was.
So
It was always funny, like walking through the Peabodys with Jerry, and we'd stop a guy and whatever, and the guy say, "Hey man, I'm working for Lakeshaw."
oh yeah.
Happened to
And
me,
he's
yeah.
talking to Lakeshaw. He doesn't even know it.
Well, I've had people tell me this. A young kid tell me working on his car, and he goes, "I'm friends with Leyshock. I box." So then I believed him all right away, and so I called Leyshock. I said, "Hey, you know such thing?" He goes, "Oh yeah, he's a pretty good boxer, but he was a thug."
When Jerry, Colonel Leyshock got transferred from narcotics to the 8th District, and I was told he was going to be my partner. About the 4th day we were riding together, I'm at roll call, and there's no, Leyshock's not there. He's late. And it's that's not like him at all. He doesn't play that.
Nope.
And if you know Colonel Leyshock really well, he's old school. He was driving a old beat up blue Le Mans in the day. And so he misses roll call. We go out and start getting our stuff, and here comes the blue Le Mans up on the lot. Jerry's in uniform because now he's in uniform. And he brings a guy out of the back seat in handcuffs. On the way to work in the Le Mans, he stopped by a dope set and got a guy with like 30 buttons of heroin.
Just
and
on
brought
the
him
way
in,
to work.
and put him in his personal car and brought him on in.
There you
Said,
go.
"I got a guy with these buttons, Danny. I'll be that was the right."
Right. That could be. That's like on the fence of sanity. I'm just saying.
I think he dwells there.
Right.
I think he knows that.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is completely.
I had one where Leo and I used to ride together, but we had our own cars. And Leo had this police department van at the time.
The brown one. The old.
Right. And
yeah.
we're working 6 to 2 at night. And I'm coming down Macklin, heading to work. And Leo calls me and says, "Do you have your cuffs?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm on the way to work." I got cuffs. And he's like, "Meet me at, I don't know where.
Whatever.
It was Arsenal, whatever it was. But, hey, what's up? He goes, I got a guy locked up. I go, okay. So I show up, and the guy had done a hit and run. So he bashed into somebody and left. And Leo's like, we can't allow this to happen. So he followed the guy, and he gets him. And so Leo didn't have any cuffs with him. They were in the office. So when I show up, the guy had his hands behind his belt with hand behind his back with Leo's belt. Leo had belted him behind his
What's
back.
wrong with these people? Hey, Tommy, you need a coaster.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Producer John, you need a coaster.
See all that condensation that was left there?
Yeah, no more condensation.
Right.
Producer John, get yourself a coaster here. A friend of mine, Bart from the Ultimate Coaster, stopped by.
Bart Haddocks.
Haddocks. The brighter side of blue logo. These things are hold the water, dishwasher safe, backstoppers on the side. They'll be on our webpage.
It should be on our
For
Facebook.
every set of 4, it'll be on the Facebook as well.
Facebook, and then
They're cool.
They're very cool, and they don't stick to the gizmos. So every set of 4 backstoppers gets a little touch.
and there's a little gap there that all the condensation goes down in there to where that's why your cup doesn't ever stick.
and it's dishwasher safe. So they'll be coming to a theater near you soon.
Yep.
You know, producer John, you know, Postal Dave would be proud of my today event.
Uh-oh.
What was that?
Well, I'm getting ready to read it. What do you mean? What's that? I didn't say it yet.
Where'd you get them cheaters at?
These are a friend of mine's cheaters
Looks
from
like your wife.
1939. Yes.
Cute.
Producer John,
Yes.
on this day in 1846, a man named Adolphe Sax patented an instrument. What was it?
Saxophone.
JJ.
Boom.
Wow. Where'd you grab that one from, Jay?
I just want to beat you to the punch. I'm on my game.
He never listens like that.
I was actually.
You were reading my.
No, I can't. I can't read that. A chicken scratch.
Yeah, he got the saxophone patented
that was
on
a
this
stretch.
day
The
in
guy named
1840.
Sax
Adolphe
invented
Sax.
the saxophone. It's not a stretch.
No, it's
I just can't believe that I
besides the fact
paid
that it's
attention
true.
that long.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Tommy, I also found a fact that I'm trying to, make appropriate facts. Mm-hmm. On this day in, well, let me get the year right because it's unbelievable. 1868,
Back in the day.
the QWERTY bird, the QWERTY typewriter, QWERTY, the current typewriter that was invented and patented. You did a lot of typing in the police department, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
You like to be
Did
tapped.
a lot of writing, and I don't like to be touched either,
Yes.
by the way.
He did a lot of stereotyping.
Writing shit wasn't my strong suit.
That's when
I was a hunting
the
pecker.
typewriter. What do you call it? The QWERTY bird. The QWERTY board. I can't say that.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
I
what
don't
the
know what
layout on the keyboard.
I don't know what the hell you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but he got a patent for that. He made.
What was his
bajillions.
name?
Well, did you guys take?
Did he
type-
make? He made.
I didn't write his name
He
down.
got a patent on the whole keyboard.
The whole keyboard.
Oh, and how you hold your hands too, though. You get
Yeah,
there's
and
a
how
way
you
to do
learn.
it.
Yeah.
Do you type normal? And you type the correct way, or you one finger type?
No,
I
I type.
but I try to type too fast, so sometimes I just got to slow down.
No, I could type.
I
But
took-
I can type.
I actually-
like on my phone, I got a wicked thumb.
I took a lot of stupid courses in high school, and one of them was typewriting.
I took.
It was the best, probably
We
best
had to
course.
take
Oh,
it.
me too.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we had to
Yeah.
take it.
I went to grade school at a place with producer John's brother Joe, and we took typing in grade school. I used
DC
to
Wilpit,
type.
You're
the
advanced.
legendary CBC coach, taught typing.
Yeah,
Really?
I could
Yep.
type. You know why I
what,
could type
though?
because it's hard. It's hard to cheat in typing.
I could teach typing.
You can't look over at your student next to you and cheat on
You
your
couldn't
typing.
teach
There ain't
typing.
yes, I could. Just
No, you
tell
couldn't.
them where to put their fingers. It's easy. Come on. You still type the same way you did in the class. I guarantee I could teach typing.
Do young kids take typing? Is that a class
I don't know.
anymore?
That's good.
Voice
They
to
don't
text.
need it. They just voice to text. On this day in 1926,
All right, we're getting into
You're-
the
you're still going?
the first SAT exam was given. SAT exam. What'd you get on the SAT, producer John?
30.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I think I got an.
I just took the ACT.
Oh yeah, I don't think the Yeah, I took the ACT.
I got 29.
Did you really?
That's pretty.
Are you serious? Is he full of shit?
I believe him, and he's wasted a lot of talent.
Yeah, a lot
Are
of
you
people
full of
couldn't believe
beans?
it.
And the thing
No,
is, he
I'm
never
dead
studied a day
serious.
in
You
his
got a
life.
29. I think I got a 19.
Hey, you beat
Seriously.
What'd
hey,
you get right, Danny Howard?
Hey, hey, I got
32 is perfect.
I got a 19.
36.
No.
36. Is
I got a 19 too. I'm not even lying. And all my buddies, they're all like, some like, hey, what'd you get? I got 8. I mean, never mind. Let's go. This
No,
What
it's
did
a
I get?
story now.
no. Well, I was a bunch of my buddies got like What'd you get, man?
What did they get, like threes?
Are you going to be the smart guy here?
8, 9.
Are you serious?
I swear to God.
Who'd you hang out with, dude? Come on.
It was actually, no, I'm not going to.
You're 19. You were like the Einstein.
He was going to name names.
No,
Don't name
I'm
names.
not naming anybody, but.
An 8.
Well, then I had one of my buddies was in my grade school. He like he was like number 2 in the whole country at how smart he was. But most of us were dumb.
Right.
Remember when we were even younger?
The JJ group range was 8 to 36.
You remember the Iowa basic test?
Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The number 2, you had to use a number
2
2
pencil. Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember the Iowa basic test?
Yes, but the only reason I think I got it 19, when I knew it was getting close to the end, I just started.
Oh, yeah, you
filling
have to.
in
You
as
have
fast
to.
as I was
You just
quick.
have to take a shot.
That's where you got all your answers right.
Yeah, exactly.
have to.
I think B was the answer.
JJ had his own Mensa club with the nines.
I went the junior college route.
Yeah.
I did too.
I like that.
That was a much easier route.
Right.
Shop local, shop Schicker.
Yep.
Schicker Ford of St. Louis is running a military discount special. They're running the $1,000 off any new vehicle down at Schicker Ford of St. Louis for the military people through July 7th. Military people get $210 off. I wonder how they came up with $210, but they get $210 off a set of 4 tires through the end of the month.
Wow.
Shop local, shop Schicker.
If you want them better, or if you want the best deal quicker.
If you don't want to
Oh, yeah.
bicker about the price on the sticker,
Head on down to Shecker.
To get the price quicker.
get the price quicker.
There's a disclaimer.
And that's why we don't do that every episode.
You should have prepared me.
Right.
What's the disclaimer?
U.S. military only.
Oh, yeah. North Korean soldiers, you cannot drive a Ford F-150.
Will you get your car
with
back quicker?
Hell no.
Yeah. No.
Will you get your car back?
Just stop, Mr. 19.
Hey, you weren't any better.
I was lying about mine. I got a 20.
Right.
Just got back from Milwaukee. It's the nicest town ever. Nobody dressed in all Cardinal gear went to the game, and nobody yelled, "Screw the Cardinals! Cardinals stink!" Nope, not one time. Until I went to a bar, and 2 guys at the bar turn around, and one guy goes, "Boo!" I go, "That's all you have." I had full garb on the game, and nobody said anything.
That's
The Cardinals are not well liked in the
That's
rest
weak.
of the country.
But Milwaukee, he goes, "No, if you were wearing a Cubs fan, you would have got it." I just think that in general, the people in Milwaukee were very nice.
Well, Cardinal fans are known to be nice.
Didn't we
You know,
beat Milwaukee
overly
in
nice.
'82 though?
Yeah.
How about when they gave the one guy in the playoffs, the opposing pitcher just shut him out for like six innings and was dominating.
Yeah.
Then he walks off the mound, and the Cardinal fans cheered him for doing a good job. I mean, this is the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
throw
don't
like
be
that,
cheering.
you can.
Yeah, exactly.
That's stupid.
Whatever, but
Yeah, that is.
that's a little old. I'm down with being nice, not heckling other fans, and not leaving them alone. But you can't be cheering people that just shut you out for 6 innings at home.
No, I agree. JJ, you have a current event? You got
No,
something?
since we're talking about sports,
Yeah.
I have a new hero,
Who's that?
Oh,
Sophie Cunningham,
Yes,
Sophie
Mizzou.
Cunningham.
MIZ.
MIZ. She's
OU.
one. She's beautiful,
yes, she is.
and for her to stick up for the greatest player ever, eventually in women's basketball, Caitlin Clark, was awesome. Now
Yeah,
she's going viral now though. She's
She's huge.
the badass.
No, and
That
people
was cool.
always disagree. So this is a perfect example. So like Caitlin Clark is like a hero. Well, and then people say that Angel Reese came out and said that people watch basketball because of her too.
Right.
And people say, no, that's just because of Caitlin Clark. And I just completely disagree. And the reason I disagree is, we've talked about this before, is every entertaining thing needs a villain.
Right.
Yep.
To bring viewership in.
Yep.
And the villain that she's played has been tremendous for the WNBA to get people, because now they're even rooting harder for Caitlin Clark
And
they
rooting
root
against her.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
And look at all the famous wrestlers that that were villains back in the day, and they weren't. It wasn't because you liked them; it was because you remember them because they were a villain. And
Yeah.
every single sport, whether it's football, they got you make your own villains up and.
I don't want to be mean to WNBA, but I will only watch Caitlin Clark game. I mean, I'm not going to sit and tune in to WNBA.
Right.
And she's playing.
I'm the same way,
I'm going to
but
watch.
I'm a stat follower.
You
I'll
are, and you
follow
always
stats.
give me the Reese
She's unreal.
Right.
stats.
Yeah.
And you told me that Sophie Cunningham's a black belt in karate.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she really wasn't
nobody to
afraid of
mess
that
with.
girl coming after her?
Yeah.
No.
She had
She
something
threw that
for her.
gal
You know
down
what?
and was trash talking her on the way, like as she was pulling her down. She's like, "Hey, you look."
But you know what though? She did it a nice way. She didn't like just blast her.
Yeah.
The way she put her arms around
There
her-
was no punching. There was no none of that.
How
She's-
she controlled her. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
And then she wasn't going to get hurt by the way she did it. It just set off the alarms for everyone.
Sophie's a black belt in hotness too.
She is.
I think she's awesome and
Good basketball player.
she is.
But the
very good.
WNBA, who would have thought anybody be talking about the WNBA 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I actually
But I didn't even know
I'm on an
anybody.
algorithm where I see all of Caitlin Clark's highlights.
Nah, I got a lot of that
I
too.
am on that too.
And then the
unreal.
one, I also get the one that showed the lowlights of Angel Reese.
Yeah.
So I get in like a WN. Then they're the only two people in WNBA that anybody follows.
Actually, no.
100%.
Now you know.
And Sophie Cunningham now because she's a beast.
She's going viral now.
And protecting people.
Right.
Yeah. I like to sit back with a
Zoop.
nice cigar and watch a
Riverman
little,
Cigar Company.
watch a little WNBA.
Yep. And they're having they got a little event going on next Thursday.
Yeah, you're gonna try to make a little
Ponder.
play out there, go out there live.
We'll see. We never know. We might be out there next week. Who knows?
Hey, if the guy from The Wire's on, I think we need to go.
I think so. We just show
Greatest
up.
police show ever.
If you just tuned in, stay on for Lieutenant Colonel Leyshock Undercover Stories. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. JJ, you have a little event you want to tell us about.
Oh yeah. Actually, I wasn't expecting to be.
Caught him right off guard.
You did. On July 19th, the Association Hall, Lieutenant Middleton.
Kelly Middleton?
Kelly Middleton, retired city lieutenant, great guy, just one of the nicest people you'll meet. He lost everything in a house fire, so they're having a mouse races for him. So, I think it's
Go for the event. You don't have to
Yeah,
particularly
you just
gamble
go.
on the mice,
right.
but just go for the event, have some fun, and
Drop off cash.
And we
Exactly.
I think it starts like at 7, and then just show up. It's
Right.
Police Hall Association.
that's a good. That's just a shame.
It is.
Get in your house, but
Can you imagine?
we're coming off that tornado too, so
Right. Exactly.
that's
Superintendent of Highway Patrol out in California is, I think he's going to coined a new phrase that we might be hearing a lot. He says his officers out there are suffering with riot fatigue.
yeah.
So our officers are out there and they're working, and some of them working 16-hour shifts. You've been bitching about working your 12-hour shifts. They're working 16-hour shifts out there,
Bitch.
for these peaceful protests. And so he's saying they need to get some recruit out there. They appreciate the National
Any
Guard
help.
and all that.
Anybody.
What they
But
should do is
riot fatigue's a new law
they
enforcement
should
term.
ask for other departments throughout the country. Say, hey, would you
Send us 20 or send us.
Yeah, I'd volunteer to go.
Well, the problem is they can't pay for your room and board, and
Hey, when
because
the, well,
like we said last or whenever we talked about that with the ICE riots, is that it just doesn't stop. It just keeps on coming, and whatever.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's part of the profession now.
I put my drink here on the table, and there's a ring of wetness. I put it on
that.
on our new
Nothing.
Brighter
I'm
Side of
picking it
Blue
right up,
coaster, and
looking
there's
at my
nothing.
notes. My notes are all drenched here
That ends.
because I was putting that on the thing.
That ends now. Go ahead, JJ.
nice logo. No, I was just showing the logo.
Yeah, and backstoppers.
It has a little thing that spins. It's cool.
Do we have any musings from the microphone over there,
What do
producer
you
John?
got there, Ray Charles?
I'm seeing clearer now.
I can see.
I can
I
see
mean, I'm
now.
speaking like in life. I can see clear, but no. The only thing I want to talk about is I'm taking bets on Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago versus the entire U.S. government, where he says he's going to use any means necessary to protect Chicagoans from ICE and the raids. So
I don't know if that's going to turn out real good for Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, any means that he has a approval rating of 6.6.
Anything.
So he's going to have him and 5 people that like him still come and go against ICE. I like it. I love it. He's
know,
yeah, I don't know how many people he's going to recruit, but it's not going to be enough to defeat the U.S. Government.
Yeah.
So you think he'll lose the next election?
You think?
I don't know.
Well, you never know with these
You don't
people.
know.
Who's going to throw a candidate up there that can get 5.8 approval rating? Whoever, I don't know. Or,
JJ, you
or
oughta
6.9, I meant.
I
Yeah.
might move to Chicago and run.
Yeah, you could run.
I should.
Yeah, with your 19.
We want vote for JJ.
Hey, I got a master's degree, pal.
Right.
You do? In what?
None of your business.
So business,
Security management.
security management. Oh, master's degree. All right.
All right.
I don't have a master's
I'm
degree.
Yeah.
impressed.
We need to get JJ out
you
there
need
and
to shut
teaches
up.
his
Shut up.
little pistol class that he teaches.
Yeah.
He throws out knowledge to people about how to stay safe.
I do.
You know, maybe we can do a podcast and have one of those, a little fundraiser.
You got it. Let me know.
JJ, do you have a Zen tonight?
Come on with it.
I do, and it's from Postal Dave.
Postal. Oh, you're gonna do him righteous this time?
Well, he felt like he
got
felt
cheated?
Bad. He did. He felt cheated.
We were thinking about Postal during this podcast. I have the saxophone reference.
Yeah.
And now JJ's using his Zen. Go ahead.
The most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you figured out why.
Ooh. Pretty deep.
Mark Twain.
All right. That's
I'm
my
just
boy.
figuring it out.
Mark
The
Twain's
most
my boy.
important days in your life are the days you were born, or the day you were born, and the day you figure out why.
Why you were born.
What's your purpose? Why are you here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is I still haven't figured out why I was born.
No, neither have I. Neither have I.
You didn't figure out when you were born?
I know when I'm born. I just don't know why I was born.
Call your mom.
Oh, I know. I guess
She's
my
passed.
dad had it
Thank you.
going on that night.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right. My dad had it. Yeah.
What's that?
Finally
Yeah.
convinced. My dad had it going on that night. That's why I was born.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing that came to my sick head, but that was a good one.
That's bad, man.
You're not that sick because that's the first thing I.
Yeah.
While I was born, I was like,
You weren't.
I always
born-
told you.
You weren't born the day your dad got busy. You were born 9 months later.
Nobody won the race that day.
right. Right. Exactly. That's still a good swimmer now.
My dad was in. I think I told this before. My dad was 95 in a nursing home, and the lady came in to help him and says, "Yeah, I have 7 kids." He goes, "You have 7 kids?" He goes, "Yeah, I didn't have 7 kids because I like kids." Get it, Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just liked it. He liked the other part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
The first part.
But then 7 kids come along, and yeah, some fun can get taken out of it.
So we give-
but 7 kids would be pretty. I mean, as long as they're close together.
Well, I'm the youngest of 7. We were all 2 years apart, and then 3 years for me. 2, and then 3.
So they tried to quit, and they said
They
we
tried
just
to
need one
quit, and
more.
I came in.
I was a mistake 4 years later.
Really?
Right.
I was 3 years.
Youngest of 5.
What do we got coming up, Tommy?
Jerry Leyshock.
No, I thought you were going to talk about some new structure or something around here.
Oh, JJ heard, but we're. I have to know you. I thought you wanted to wait until we actually started laying lumber
Me
and
and,
whatnot.
me and Patrick Welch recommended it. We didn't talk about it until there was a nail driven, but
We're getting a new studio, people. We're going to get a new studio here in Colombo's basement, and yeah, and Greg Colombo's he's the architect behind the whole thing because he wants to make it nice. He wants to make it enjoyable to come down in the basement and enjoy all they have to offer, and the big screen TV down here. You can, and then that way our audience can talk very loud, and we can just shut the
shut
doors.
the window, shut them
We're
down.
gonna have glass doors, and the whole front's gonna be glass. We're gonna have speakers out there, and we really want people to come down here and just have fun. And then we're gonna start a patch wall for other officers that come down.
Oh, nice.
We've got a neat little. Hopefully, we're gonna get a lot of other officers to tell the stories of their municipalities too, because we like we said we got the city locked down, and now we're talking about the BMF and a lot of that city stuff. But there's a lot of the municipalities involved in a lot of that stuff, and they have those great stories too, those good crime stories. Unfortunately, St. Louis is known for the Cardinals, the Arch, the Blues, and crime.
And also, we'll be able to use this for other podcasts. when we
Hopefully,
come down.
absolutely.
You know what I just came to my mind when you were starting to tell about the new studio and talking about us being a grassroots podcast. I remember when we were in the Blue Line offices and your announcement was we're moving to a new studio at Colombo's.
Right.
And now here we are moving to a new studio
Right. We
within
started.
Colombo's.
We started on the pool table.
Yeah.
We started on the pool table.
Yeah.
Then we moved to this.
We got some momentum going, don't we?
Yes, and Greg gets excited, and God love the Colombos, Greg and Ryan, the two brothers that run this place. They're very supportive of us, and they think they can, make it look really nice down here, and people can really enjoy to come down on a Thursday night and have some food and watch TV or watch us, whatever they want to do. In a little
Yeah, Greg Colombo said that when he went to Nashville like most of the bars down in Nashville have some kind of studio, like a podcast studio in the bar, and so he's down with it.
Yep. And then I know that our friends at Schicker have approved.
They're going to help. It's going to, it's going to be
Are we getting free B12 shots for the workers?
Yeah,
we should get done quicker.
Yeah.
What do you think? Where would they go, JJ?
Prime Performance, where I go.
Right.
44 Fenton Plaza, Fenton, Illinois.
Fenton, you always say Fenton, Illinois. Is there a Fenton, Illinois?
No.
He gets mixed up with the O'Fallon
I'm
back
ahead of
and
myself.
forth.
I get ahead of myself. Fenton, Missouri, and there's one in 122. I don't even remember.
19.
1, 3 2s.
No.
Central.
122.
2.
Right.
There's 3 2s.
Do you guys need a hammer?
Right. I don't know because I did a few shots of Jameson.
Ever since JJ told us how smart he was,
He's going downhill.
he's been screwing everything up ever since.
I blame Tom for ordering the
No, it's
Jameson
one shot, dude.
Yeah, but
I did 4 1-hits too. Come on now.
You're about to hear some. John, do you have anything, Producer John, before we go?
122 Central Park Plaza.
Yep.
Nice.
O'Fallon, Illinois.
44 what?
Fenton Plaza.
Yep.
In Fenton, Missouri.
Yep. That's where you guys go.
That's
and
where
get your guys.
Yeah, I love
B12
it.
shots.
Good.
Right.
And then
Producer
there's-
John, do you have anything?
We get all our sponsors in.
No, we didn't, because Corby Campbell is out there going, where am I? What do I got going on? CampbellSecurityGroup.com. Anybody that needs security, whether it be personal or business, they do evaluations, site assessments, and all that good stuff. And Corby Campbell is he's moving up in the world. They're doing some neat stuff. Like I told you, they did the Super Bowl not too long ago, and they do a lot of stuff with AB. It's a very reputable company, and you can get a hold of them at CampbellSecurityGroup.com if your business needs some security, whether it be personal or the property.
Very nice. I have a top secret famous family that had reached out to me in St. Louis and is going to hire Corby for some security.
Perfect.
Really?
Yeah, so
That's how we roll.
Yeah.
You got to know, hey, we got a guy.
Who are
yeah,
they?
we got a guy.
We need a guy in everything. We need plumbing. We need the rest. We need guys.
Yeah.
So if you want to,
We need HVAC. I want Bart
Right.
Inman. I want Inman HVAC.
he's got that
yeah.
great voice.
I know him forever. Bart's got the greatest voice
Ever.
in
It's a great commercial.
And I've known him forever.
Yeah.
Him and his son had coached his son in baseball.
Seriously.
Bart, reach out to us quickly.
Yep.
Where do you get your printing?
Yep. Marvell Printing.
Nice, Greg. See, that's what's going to be
got
cool
Greg
when we're
in the
live. Greg, boom.
Yeah,
Thank
we're hoping
you.
to go live here a lot more in the future, but we're going to see how tonight's go. And after this, we are going to be we're going live with the finale of the BMF. Myself and Joe Cronin. Archie Shaw, I think, is going to be with us, but Archie's not here. We got
No
Jack
exciting.
Riley in the house.
I'm going to be back there heckling you.
That's good. That's fine with us.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And if that goes well, then we're going to start doing this a lot on Thursdays. So,
Beautiful. What about our communities?
they're a lot safer when they support law enforcement, Danny. That's just the way
Damn
life
right.
is.
Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right. Welcome back to the brighter side of blue, as promised. Special guest who's been here before, my old partner, Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Leyshock, retired. Welcome back, Colonel.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to take a little different approach with you tonight. We've already talked about who you are, what you've done, except for one little thing. Today's podcast is kind of about the undercover days. Nicknames, some of your abilities undercover. I mean, you are a white guy going up and buying dope from
Petty.
the Petties and other people. So it's kind of a tough little thing. So we want to know some of your tricks and some of your best stories.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you the petty one that you did earlier. When you talked about that is our most popular show.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's got over 30,000 views, and it was the one that and I split it up between you and Harry Hager, Major Hager, and it's about 30 minutes of pretty grueling.
I didn't even know that.
Pretty wild stuff. But yeah, and Terry's a great storyteller, and but the Romeos showed up today, as you guys know, and up there, and Bob, or Major Zambo asked me, who you got on tonight? I said, Jerry Leyshock and Joe Specie. He goes, They're like the Joan Rivers of the Johnny Carson show. When you guys get short on people to talk to, you just call them.
Are you offended by that?
No.
That's a compliment.
I've been told I looked like Joe Rivers.
Oh.
All right.
Well, that's good. So go back to some of your early narcotic days, and Tommy actually wants you to lay out how narcotics was laid out, right, Tommy?
Back in the days, just start, because it was laid out differently than most people remember narcotics. But go ahead and tell us how it was
by
laid
far.
out.
Well, if you guys don't mind, I told John, I talked to a veteran and an incredibly successful alumni from the narcotics division, Larry Hollifield,
Oh, yeah.
his accomplishments were incredible. So he got us to 1976, and then I went there in 1983.
Narcotics.
To the narcotics division, undercover. John Corona, who was a legend, was the sergeant at the time. And as I get to Larry, I got to say the interview was incredible. So 16, 17 of us interviewed for 2 spots undercover in narcotics. And so I only had about 3 years on in 83. And so they gave me the time. It was in the evening. And I had heard of John Corona, but I had no idea what he looked like or anything. He's almost like a mystical figure. So one of the applicants came out that I recognized, and he said, "Good luck." I said, I hope you did good. And he said, the sergeant said, "Go on in there." Well, I go in, and here's a guy with long hair down to his shoulder, earrings, beard, and he's eating Church's chicken. Half of it's in his beard. He goes, "Sit down," with the whiskey voice, and what do you want to do this for? And I don't even know what I'm doing. I just told him some stuff, and he asked me questions, and he knew that Buck Carter and Dan Swan had put my name in the hat because I had given them some information in the 8th District, and they'd had a really good search warrant. So they told me, "Hey, he's applying. We think you ought to do it. We're going to talk you up." So he asked me a little bit about that and what I knew about dope, which was so little, just piecing my way through. And when it was over, I left, and I thought, I'll never, And like 3 weeks later, I get transferred down there with Kenny Santoyo, who was also my
Who was the chief that
classmate.
transferred you down?
Yep.
What chief transferred you down?
That was
Camp.
Camp was still there, and John Doherty was chief of detectives.
Got you.
Wow.
Now that part, I'm glad you asked that. So we get transferred on a Friday. I still had to work the Andy Malone parade on Saturday or on Sunday. That
Naturally.
Sunday. Go ahead.
Naturally.
Yeah, and also got written up for not having my hat on by Cañada. So I leave on a high note from the 8th District. Gosh dang.
Which you will return to.
Exactly.
That's where we met. That's where we met.
Exactly. I met Jim Joyner there.
Right.
But I get there early, and Corona tells me and Kenny, where there's a locker, and we're in the undercover office downstairs at the bottom of headquarters. That room behind the show-up room,
Yep.
where-
Oh, yeah. The show. Oh, yeah.
But he said at 10 o'clock, you're going to meet Chief Doherty. So I've already heard of John Doherty. You'd read about him in the newspaper, but I never was near him, And 10 o'clock, he came to us, and he walked down. He's got his hat on, his suit, biggest hand you ever saw. And John introduces me and him. And when I shook his hand, and Kenny shook his hand, he goes, "Yeah, I just want to tell you," and he had a cigar in his hand, as always. "Just want to tell you guys, I don't want my detectives lying or drinking on duty. I'm sure you'll do well." And he walked out. You're kind of like, all right, that was pretty inspirational. And that night, my dad called me. My dad had retired by then. And he said, "Jimmy, I heard, I had told him I was going to meet you." He goes, what was your impression of Doherty?" And I said, "Dad, that was by far the most violent-looking human being I ever met." I said violence emanated from him. You think of the World War II hero and what have you. But quickly we learned how serious, you ask about the old days, how serious it was. And Larry Hollifield told me in 76, John Corona was his partner, but then he got promoted to sergeant, and they kept him there. And Larry worked with them until I don't know, Steve Doherty then became John's partner. John would always ride with somebody, and he told me that, sorry guys, told me that I was going to be his partner. But you weren't going out on the street and doing any buys till you knew the brand name, a generic name of any dope that we were trying to buy. Preludens, Dilaudid, Ritalin. We did a 2-week DEA training. Did you do that? That's the best seminar I ever went to. I want Joe Spees. Yeah, tremendous. And you're following people around and just a lot of information. The best seminar I ever went to was for 2 weeks. And then the big thing was surveillance. You're not making any buys. Dan Swan was still buying dope. Like I said, it was Kenny. Yeah, I guess that business about the street crew may have been a little bit. He still was with us a little bit. Dan Swan was. Buck wasn't. He was on the street crew. But, you know, you'd watch, or Larry Hollifield was so informational to me. And of course, Corona could do anything. And even Larry said that. He goes, he was magical. And he was doing a lot of biker stuff.
Real quick, Jerry,
Explain
the difference between the street crew and the undercover crew.
Very good. So even though guys in the street crew would have long hair and beards, they're not doing any buys, or they could get away with one maybe. We could do no enforcement. We were to walk away. It would really. Corona basically said it better be an armed robbery or about to be a murder before you guys get involved. You just can't do it. We're going to be undercover. And so we couldn't go up to the lobby, couldn't go to an awards ceremony, none of that stuff, you know. We had the undercover phone, and just that was the big thing. The street crew would execute search warrants on where we thought we couldn't make buys anymore, where we were if we were going to a house.
Right.
So it worked hand in hand. You got to think about this too. The police department had to provide money for buys, had to provide money for informants, cars, the undercover car pool, a lot of the logistics with that. And there was literally times where we got grounded because we didn't have any buy money. And Larry reminded me that there were times with the DEA cycle where they were out of money. So I got to tell a great Larry Hollifield story. He said that he's working with the DEA agent. I don't remember his last name, McDowell. I don't know if you knew him, but he had a CI. And by the way, the lifeblood of narcotics is his informants. I mean, there's some things you could do in the street crew and dig your own stuff up. But for UC, you're very seldom going to buy dope cold turkey. So you had guys working off cases. I'd have detectives from places saying, hey, I got a guy that says he could get a guy into somebody. This DEA guy had a tremendous CI, and he said, I can get you into this target's house that everybody was trying to make, and they just couldn't make him. It's about a 35-year-old guy who's up in North St. Louis. And this is probably like right around maybe 80 or 81, if I remember Larry saying. And a half ounce of Coke, DEA would adopt those cases, just a half of Z. And he said it cost between. I said, what was it costing? And he said about $1,000, maybe $1,100. You know, that was, and heroin, same thing, so expensive. So, guy goes in. Larry's got the money, and we'd mark our serial numbers and all that.
Pictures.
Exactly. You go in there, and he made the buy. And as he was leaving, we always tried to do more than one buy. We didn't want anybody using the defense. Hey, I was down on my luck. Sure, I sold him some dope, but never did it again. You could get 2 or 3 buys, look like the guy's a dope man. Right. So Larry said, you know, I got some connections on the south side. Could we up it maybe to an OZ? And the guy goes, yeah, man, you know, just come up with so-and-so and all that. Well, 2 weeks later, they want to do it. They're hot on this guy. He had a terrible record, and he was laying down dope all over on the north side. DEA says, we're on pause. And we couldn't afford a big money hit like that. So Corona goes, this is incredible. Larry goes, you're close with Doherty, and our captain was Robert Boaz, and I think Doherty was married to his sister or vice versa. He goes, well, all right, let's go talk to him. So Boaz, Corona, and Larry go, and they sit down, and they tell him. And Larry's like, he's got his hat on, suit, his cigar here, and he goes, Are you guys effing crazy? How do you think we're going to do? How would that have that much money? And Boaz goes, come on, Chief. Honestly, you could dig up that money. This is, and he tells him everything about the guy's record, DEA's interest in it. And Larry said, we really didn't think we had a shot. Well, Doherty says, all right, we're going to do it. He goes, you better make something happen with this. You go, okay.
Yeah, that's some pressure right there.
Yeah,
you
no
strike
stress
out.
on that.
Yeah.
Well, they go and they make the buy. So what we would do is, we didn't typically. You try to make a series of buys from guys, and Santoyo's buying, Doherty's buying. Then we'd have big sweeps after you went to the grand jury. All right. They get this OZ buy, and Larry's getting ready to go testify in federal grand jury. It's going to be a one and done. We're done. That's good. We're not going to do any better than this. And the guy gets murdered. So now they have to tell Doherty that
The money's
dead.
gone.
This case has been abated by death.
Yeah. So they aren't looking forward to this at all. So they go up there, and Doherty could feel something about Doherty. And he said, oh, man, he looked so mad before we even started talking. So they explained to him what happened. And he said, Doherty just calmly said, and how do you think I'm going to explain this to the citizens of St. Louis? He goes, we're out a lot of money, man. And Larry goes, I don't know where this came from. He goes, because we're scared to death of this guy. I said, well, Chief, quite honestly, we got the ultimate result. He's dead. He's never going to sell dope to anymore. And Doherty looked at Boaz, then Corona, then him, and he goes, I want you guys to leave my office now. And he goes, it was what it was, So anyways, to think about these guys. By the way, John Corona was in Vietnam. He was a machine gunner. He died in February. I went to Vincennes, Indiana, to the visitation, and as you walked, there was pictures of him. He looked like a baby. He went there, I think, when he was 18. He's a machine gunner on a helicopter, shot down twice. They had a stand. He had 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star, and some other kind of something.
Wow.
I mean, very decorated. Flew over 180 missions, shot down twice. He only had like part of an ear. Part of it was burned off. And now he's buying dope, taking chances and everything. But it was a good program. It was well monitored. The money, you write memos on the money. And so a lot of people, like Larry said, everybody would say, how do you pull this off? How do you buy heroin without having to shoot up in front of somebody?
Right.
How do you buy coke? You don't have to do a line and all that. And quite honestly, I'm watching all the veterans talk. You guys probably don't know. I don't know, John. Do you ever know Milton Payne?
Yeah.
Those guys. They all had a routine. They had a story for everything. Dan Swan was known for his Coke spoon. It's a little tin spoon with a little, part that's about this big.
Tommy knows about that.
And he said,
I never did that.
So I said, he goes, hey, Jerry, you're going to be in a house full of Hoosiers or whatever, or you might be in a car, whatever. He goes, they tell you you're going to do a line, or you're going to have to get up in front of us. He goes, stick that spoon in that little packet. And he goes, drop it on, get your nose up there, keep your finger where it is, just keep that down.
Nostril closed.
And he goes, they're not even going to watch you. And I told Larry that. He goes, oh, I had that Coke spoon before you had that Coke spoon. He goes, it worked every time. It sounds stupid, but they might want to see you do it. And so you had to come up with something. When it came to shooting up, until it was just too cold, we all wore like flannel shirts, long sleeve shirts cut off here, and we would doctor our arms up.
How would you do that?
So I don't know. Swan kind of showed me. It sounds crude, but I'd get a lighter, put a knife here, sterilize it, and then just keep kind of just doing this, the tip, till it's just about at the point where it would bleed. Then we take a pencil and just darken it in a little bit.
Wow.
And it was the best.
So lead poisoning.
Well,
Lead poisoning. Was it a number
Well,
2 pencil?
I'd rather have that lead poisoning than one in the head, right?
Yeah, that's true.
that's the
So,
same kind of lead poisoning.
You know,
Yeah.
nobody. I mean, John, I'd come up on a set, maybe somebody I didn't know, getting ready to comp, and they wouldn't be looking at you. They'd be looking at those arms, you know. And the only couple of times somebody told me, "Come on, man, you're gonna have to run it up. I don't know you. You could be the heat." You know, I'd simply say, I'm gonna go back, get up with my old lady. I'm not doing it with you. If you don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. Man, I can spend my money anywhere. Nobody ever let me leave.
Okay.
Greed, the common denominator.
Right.
So you learn
What
that
was your
early.
street name? What did they call you?
Well, we all had to have nicknames, and me, Doherty, and Corona all had New York driver's licenses. So my name was stupid, Louie Merconti. John was Vito somebody. I don't even remember
What
what
was
Doc's
Darty?
was.
You're talking about Steve Darty, right?
Yeah.
There's two.
I don't-
There's two Daughertys. We're talking about Colonel Daugherty and Steve Daugherty.
Steve
Steve
Daugherty
Darty
was a
was a
sergeant.
detective
with
at
the
the time.
great Queen's accent.
Yes.
So they never thought he was the police.
right out. His whole family was in law enforcement, and a lot of them were from the East, or they're all from the East.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think
Oh,
his brother was in DEA, and then another brother was a Boston policeman, New York policeman.
Yeah, I don't remember, but also something like a second cousin to Glenda the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz.
Who is Steve
Daugherty?
Daugherty?
Daugherty.
Yeah,
This is huge information. Does
This
this
is,
came forth?
you don't get this anywhere.
Rather
You don't get it. Glenda.
No,
The Good Witch.
You can't hardly work it
She's
into
the Good
a police
Witch.
podcast.
No.
Glenda.
Glenda the Good Witch.
Hey,
So-
hey, Colonel,
We're gonna have Steve on now. Now that we know that.
No, we're having Glenda on.
one of the
Let's see if
first-
you can hook her up.
Screw Steve.
as you know, I started in the 8th District. And
Yes,
you,
sir.
And so anyway, but John Hiley was my partner, and he was
Oh,
in,
boy.
he was in, he was my
No,
first partner.
great policeman.
He was unreal. But
Great
the first thing he did, he always said, deal with the heroin addicts. When he would be off, he goes, I'll be by myself. He goes, you want to mess with the heroin? They're more laid back than the crack addicts. But
Yeah.
but he would. I remember we'd go in these sets, and we got to know all the addicts. And then he would say, roll up your sleeves, show them your arms. And I was young and green as can be, and they'd roll their arms up, and they would look like they were like they were burnt. They were just all messed up.
Sores.
And both arms, yeah. And then one of the old guys said, my legs look just the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable.
You know, the one thing I couldn't do is come up with the scabs. Most of them would have scabs on them
Oh, yeah,
too.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the
Let's not go
track
too
mark
far.
is simply where that vein is collapsed.
Right,
You know, so but you know, now and then if you give blood, you'll see a little black and blue. That's sort of the black thing.
So,
But-
Jerry, what exact years were you undercover?
well, only 83 May to about April of 85 because
That's the
then
Petty case.
The Sam Petty case.
And then the reason I asked is what did you buy most? I mean, the drugs back then that you were buying, you know.
Well, strangely enough, you guys probably are a little young to know, but Tees and Blues
Yeah, I
took
knew you were
over
gonna
the
I was
city.
gonna say
Yeah.
that too.
And at some point in 80, 81, and Coke had drifted off a little bit because it was so expensive. Still plenty of heroin. But Tees and Blues were Tauin, which is sort of like a painkiller, analgesic, and then the blue is pyrobenzamine. So they crush it up. Who decided to experiment?
I know. Who did it the first time?
But they crush it up and then they shoot it. And man, they were dropping bodies all over. Guys that were in the 4th District told me after 7 a.m. roll call, you went right down to the projects because just to start getting they were
Picking up
killing
bodies?
everybody. All the robberies and so. I guess the first time is so bizarre. At Elliott, so every neighborhood just seemed to have these festering open-air drug markets like the Wire in Baltimore. Very, very true. So I go up to Elliott and Thomas with a guy that said, it doesn't matter if you're white or black, you along with me, and you drive, he goes, they'll turn you. So, you know, I went up there this first day and told the backup, I didn't know what to expect. Just sit back, and if I need you, you'll probably hear a gunshot. So a guy comes up to me, he's, what are you looking for? And you call 4 and 4, 2 and 2, whatever. I forget what they went for, $6, $8 a set. And they have them usually in little tinfoil packets. And he says, so he'd go over and talk to an older guy, and then the guy would go make the block and come back. So come back, and then that guy would be with the older guy, and then flip you and you give them the money. So you'd go around, you don't know, you could never see where it was. There'd be times there'd be 6, 8 cars behind me or in front of me. But here's the key to narcotics, and this is the beauty of being a city policeman. We all know in every district, coppers that know the players, know everything.
Oh, yeah.
So in the 9th, John McKenzie knew everybody. In the 5th, Bob Schaefer. 3rd district, Willie McCullough, Terry James. 7th, every district. So you could call them. So what we do is I'd have somebody on standby somewhere, drive to him and say, the guy that flipped me, he's got a blue sweatshirt on, blue jeans, a little bit of a beard. And then he'd call you back later. You get back to the office and give you the name of the guy. Then one of the street crew detectives would do a photo spread, and you'd have to pick them out. All right?
So, just real quick, though, that what you're explaining there is that when you called those guys and they went and ID'd them, they had no intention of trying to lock him up for drugs.
If they didn't know the guy, they'd mess with him.
Right.
What are you doing up here? Get his name and all that and run him, whatever. Most, like Terry James, you give him a description, he just make a drive-by. They're used to seeing him.
And he didn't even have to go talk to him.
He knew mostly everybody.
Yep.
Well, I figure out that the older guy, the CI was pretty sure that they called him Big Boy, and his name turned out to be Arthur Hamilton. John and I did the best that we could. It was my memory that when Arthur Hamilton was young, and I think in Darst Webb, he tried to shoot Dan Seitz. His gun jammed, and Seitz shot him. But he was on parole. He did a nice prison stint. Now he's on parole. Now he's out here, and he's got all these different people flipping. So I got number 1. I start going back almost every day. It's just so easy. It's just so easy. And a lot of times it'd be the same guy. You get your second or third buyer, be somebody else. So finally, Corona's like, where are we at with this? And I go, he will simply not do a hand-to-hand with me. So we would write up a synopsis, what was said, what they were wearing, what the weather was like. We described everything. So he goes, I think we ought to wrap it up. I go, give me one more chance. And I knew it was supposed to snow the next day. Sure enough, it's like a blizzard. This is in 83. I go, it was early 84. I drive up there with Herb Gardner. I don't know if any of you guys knew. He was a neat guy. And I go, Herb, he hated going out with me. He goes, oh, man, Louie. I go, Herb, come on. We're just going to go up there. I go, I want to see if surely there's not going to be a lot of people out there. Maybe they'll flip me. Well, we go up there. There's nobody out except Big Boy and a kid. And I'm telling you, he looked like a kid 9 or 10 years old.
That's what the newspaper article says. He was 9 years old.
Okay, how about the producer, John?
That's good huggy
That's
move there,
new
buddy.
huggy.
The beauty of producer John. Yeah, so the kid comes up and he goes, what do you want? I go, I'm not.
The kid?
Yeah. And I go, man, get away from. I go, what are you doing to Big Boy? And he don't say a word. I go, what are we doing here? He goes, just deal with him. So he stays back. Of course, I write this all up. So he goes, make the block. So I make the block, and when I come back, he goes, all right, let me see the money. The kid does. Oh, well, let me see the pills. He goes, motherfucker, let me see the money. 9-year-old.
My God.
So we do a little Mexican handoff. And
was he called little boy? Big boy and little boy.
So we I write up the case, and everybody, probably 12 defendants, plead guilty because they all had records, but Big Boy goes in front of the judge, his attorney, and says, "We're not pleading anything. He never sold any dope, and by the way, he was up there a lot. He says if he was going to sell dope, it certainly wouldn't have been to a white guy. We're going to trial." So I think they're offering 5 years. If that was usually about it, but a mandatory fine. No paper typically on a sale. So he's going to roll the dice, and so Judge Peak is the judge, and I have to testify, and I can't remember his attorney's name, but he was out of Chip Liebman's office, and he's grilling. I mean, the main thing is I had to go over every buy where I said Big Boy was organizing, and his big question was, did he hand you anything? No. Did you hand him the money? No. Did you see him handle the dope? No. Did you see him handle the money? No. But I had talked about how we had to make the order, go around the block, and come back. So it goes to the jury, and I can't remember who the attorney was. He said, boy, that was an interesting closing argument. I go, why do you say that? He goes, well, Big Boy's attorney started off by saying, so we have a policeman that's a low liver-bellied snake come in here and lie on my client. And I go, what did he call me? He goes, a low liver-bellied snake. I go, I don't even know him. Usually you have to be around me a few months before you
can't be calling me that.
Of a snake. No,
Jerk.
I thought that was rude.
It was.
So Judge Peak, the jury found him guilty. Before the judge gave him the sentence, he said, before I sentence you, I want to tell you, there's no doubt, as witnessed by the jury, that you were the key operation of this. You're in charge of this operation. He goes, and it's inexcusable that you'd use a young kid to do this. And obviously, we never got him ID'd, but to do this. And he said, and most egregious is we had to have an undercover officer get exposed that puts him in danger and the unit in danger. And they gave him 60 years.
Oh, wow.
5 to 60.
Wow.
So Judge Peak.
I'm with him using that 9-year-old.
His son went
I
to the
bet you if he
academy
never
with him.
uses 9-year-old, he never gets convicted.
Well, I ran into maybe his granddaughter or niece a couple of years ago. He's out. She says he's doing really good. She came up and asked, are you Jerry Leyshock?
Wow.
Which
Wow.
means
Nothing
she-
personal about it. There
Well,
was
he's-
nothing personal.
That's right.
Low river belly
A low
snake.
liver belly.
A low liver belly.
This makes more sense to me now, but Jerry was in the 8th district when I got out, and he got moved out of narcotics, and then he got promoted to sergeant rather quickly. But he was on the opposite shift as me, and so he trained Bobby Lang, and Bobby Lang became a very good police officer, detective. Now he's at DEA. So people would.
Well, now he's retired, but
Well,
he wasn't-
he's working as a consultant, I think, for DEA.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm sorry. You're right.
I'm sorry. I should have been
No,
more
you're right.
explicit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I'd be on the opposite shift, and I'd get out and talk to people and stuff, and they'd say, Leyshock was sneaking around the house last night, but they would get in vacant houses. And that's where I learned to go in vacant houses.
But Danny knows firsthand about
Yeah,
that.
but one Sunday, remember the old detail they had on Sundays for the cruising detail?
Sure.
And I got to know you from like softball and stuff, and you were a sergeant now, and you were on the detail. So you go, Bobby, get in the car with me, and you saw me, you go, Jimmy, get in the back seat. So we drove around I guess right there, right off of Natural Bridge, those streets, and there's kids everywhere, there's people everywhere, and you kept saying, Bobby, what's his name? And it's like you're giving a quiz, and Bobby said, that's such and such, and that's such and such, and so you knew everybody. So and I learned from that, just that one day, to get in vacant houses and learn everybody's
Before
name.
the dope sets up.
And learn everybody's name on the block, and I
Well,
did.
thanks for saying that.
But I thought that was great.
Bobby
learning
Lang
experience.
had a tremendous memory.
Yeah.
I did the same with Tim Schumann. I said, you got to know who's out here. You got to know who the burglar is. You got to know who the dope man is. Joe Speece is over there. Mike Mueller. They know that.
Right.
They did the same thing. It's about who you know.
Right.
So,
Well, I'd take pride in teaching you when you first came out to came out to the 8th district.
How to write tickets.
Right, parking tags.
That's the way you set that up.
If you
That
don't
was all I-
if you don't take street cleaning seriously, who does?
Those guys
Somebody
get
gotta do
nasty.
it.
Somebody's got to do it.
you have to admit,
Think he has to go around cars, just clean the street.
you
Can't
were,
happen.
You had kind of started off just on the other side of the path, but we got you on the right path because you did great. We did some great stuff together.
Well, his claim to fame is he rode with you.
No, he's good. He was good.
I'm good with that.
Well, he's
Spending a low
He's famous for other stuff too.
river belly snake or whatever it is.
Yeah, really.
So this two of your proteges right over there to your right, huh?
I
Yep.
love being with these guys.
Yep.
And
then
John
they-
Frank. Go ahead, you
Jerry's
got
three-
something. What do you
three
got? What do you
proteges.
got for us, John?
It's for later for
Oh.
the other case.
All right.
Oh yeah, you got another case you're gonna tell us about?
I am going to talk about. I told Larry this story. He goes, "You have to tell that story." He didn't know about it, but this is again talking to these older guys. So, a lot of the informants came from other policemen, or some of these guys just like making it. They like being part of this, but also we'd make buys, and sometimes when we made the arrest, they'd say, do you want to try to work your case off? So we have a female that's got a horrible record, and she had sold me some Ritalin on a couple of times, and she's like, what can I do to keep from going back to the penitentiary. And they go, well, we're going to introduce you to the guy. She goes, I know who the police was. She figured it out, you know. So I go, listen, you know, so we won't use a lot of names, but this, I think it's all right to use this name. There was a guy that had just got out of penitentiary. His name was Dog Faulkner. And I knew her clique. And
cool
this
name.
guy was a massive
I'm saying.
prelude.
Jesus, Faulkner.
So I said, you only got to do one thing. I want you to introduce me to Dog Faulkner. And she goes, man, I could probably introduce you to him. She goes, but there's no way in the world he don't know you that he lets you walk away without getting up with him. I'm just going to tell you that now.
Getting up with them, actually taking
Yeah, shoot up, and he shoots up. They were crushing Prelude. And this was more of a speeder. And those went for like $15. So I talked to Tom Muir and Fredrickson, who were on the street crew. Bob was easily one of my closest mentors. Of course, John Corona was too. And I go, you know this guy? He goes, yeah. He goes, there's no way in the world this guy's going to flip you. I'm going to tell you that right now. Nick's saying the same thing, you know. So
was it a
we
good
actually made a little monetary bet on
Was it a good high then?
Good
Was it a good high then? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, right. No, well, it was Prelude. All right, so I talked to Swan about it. He goes, all right, listen, she's probably shot up with him 200 times in her life. He goes, you put a syringe in your sock. When he says it's time you're going to have to get up with me before you walk out of here. Pull that syringe out and then tell her to say, what are you doing? We ain't got time for this. We got to get back, da-da-da. He goes, whatever kind of story. He knows she ain't the heat. You already got the syringe out. He goes, try it. And I thought, all right, this is kind of big. Well, I tell her what we're going to do. He goes, there's no way in the world this is going to work. I go, what's going to have to work? Because you're going to introduce me to him. We're going to run it out, however it plays out. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is in 83 and 84. We didn't wear Kel. We seldom ever wore Kel.
Did you have a pistol on you?
Oh, yeah. A lot of guys carry these little 25s, but I think a couple of them mishandled and accidentally shot themselves. I wasn't playing with that. I had a little snub nose.
Your
I
little
didn't care.
snub nose with a brown wood handle? Is that one? Yeah.
A little cheap
Cheap special. Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a guy, so I was buying heroin from up in the 7th. The only person that really ever said anything to me, like, I didn't think anybody ever saw it, and he said, I like what you got on your hip. And I pulled it out. I go, man, there's plenty more where that came from. You want to buy? Because ATF wanted us to buy guns.
Okay,
so I did a good deal with him. But anyways, so all right, here's what it is. We didn't have Kel lights. Really, this is a true story. And Larry backed me up on this. The only way your backup knew when to come was if you threw something out the window. Throw an ashtray out, throw a TV out, jump out, just throw him out, whatever, and they'll come run. Well, this deal was not far from Sarah and Westminster over on the 9th District side. And it's whores everywhere, guys selling heroin. I told them, guys, just get as close as you think you can without blowing us, and I'm going to do it. So I had a little black Firebird then, and we go up there. And she had called him ahead of time. He stayed at this like boarding house, 2 or 3 stories, and old building. And he's out there, and it was the fall. It was chilly out, but he's got a cut-off shirt, and so do I. The difference between him and me is this freaking guy had penitentiary muscles like this.
Yeah.
I looked at his LB photo. You can't tell that. And he's a mean-looking guy, but holy cow, he's stacked. So he's looking at me, and he goes, where you know him from? And so she named some of the people that she brought over there with him. He's friends with all them, and he lives over there. She named some gal. He's gone out with her before, and so he's like, let's go upstairs. So we go up to his room. And he goes, what do you want? I go, 4. So I think it was $60, right? 4 times 15. And I gave him the $60, and he goes, stay here. And he goes out, and he locks the door, which I thought was strange. I think I could still open the door to get out, but he locks the door. So all it is like a little thing where you keep your clothes, a bed, another little table, a TV, and a bathroom. So I look in all the drawers, make sure there's not a knife, or I'm sure if he's got a pistol, he's got it on him. And she's like, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. You know, I'm like, it's gonna work. When he gives me those pills, he says, well, you gotta get up with me. I go, say, we gotta get to Dave's. There's a mutual friend. He knew, we gotta get to Dave's. Just do it. We're gonna do it. And I go, and by the way, if it doesn't work, you better get down because it's going to get ugly. So, you know, so you better hope it works. So, man, he's gone a long time. And you know, we don't have cell phones so you let anybody know. You just hope the backup knows who's watching him or watching you, whatever. Comes back in. He makes a fatal mistake. He puts the pills down on the dresser right in front of me. And he goes, I'm gonna get some water. Well, I'm playing with house money. I've made the deal. It's in my pocket. But I want to buy from him again, so now I'm playing it out. So I pull out the syringe. He goes, all right, yeah. Yeah, and she goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm going to get up with this man. She goes, you're not getting up with this man. I got to get back with Dave, and Dave's getting one of them anyhow. She goes, you're not getting up with him. I go, I am. He don't know me. He don't know me. I'm getting up with him. She goes, no. So it kind of goes back a little bit, and then she could really be shrill. And finally she says something. He goes, hey, man, what are you going to do? I go, well, you know her better than I do. I go, I'll just come back by myself some other time. You cool with that? He goes, all right, go ahead.
Oh, my God.
And it worked.
Deal down.
And we never had to go
Deal
to trial
down.
or anything. Yeah. So I collected my 50 or 60 bucks
Now,
for
the
Tom
most
Beer
scared you've
Freight.
ever been?
Most scared I've ever been?
Yep. And were you ever in fear of your life while you were doing this?
I mean, I'll tell you a weird story. John Corona had so many connections. He wanted me to help out, I think St. Louis County, but it was near Riverview High School, so it had been part of the, they were having a bad time with a prolific business burglar whose brother was selling coke. And see, that was the beauty of Undercover. Things could branch off into a lot of different
Burglaries, like you said.
investigations, everything. So they told me, he goes, we got a guy that can introduce you to the brother, and we want to see if the burglar's there and if he is involved in any shape or way or whatever. So I said, all right, whatever, you know. So I've got to tell the backup where we're going to be, go up in this neighborhood, walk through a garage, down into the basement. There's about 6, 7 white guys, and they're playing pool. And right away, the CIA introduces me to the guy that's got the dope. It was coke, and then there is a hard-looking guy behind him. I'm sure it's the burglar because I knew it was his brother, and he looked like
He just looked like a
just
burglar?
hard-looking guy.
You got that burglar look?
Yeah, but while they're kind of asking me some questions like, you know, where are you from? They ain't feeling me too much at first, and then all of a sudden, 2 guys get in an argument, and a guy punches a guy, knocks him down, he kicks him, and then another guy. So there's like a little melee. Well, the burglar wasn't in the mood. He pulls out a pistol, and he points it at me first. I'm like,
I'm not beefing with nobody.
Then he goes, you want to get, then he tells the guy that threw the first punch, you want to get shot right here? We'll bury you in the backyard. And he looks at me, he goes, what are you looking at? And I go, you got that pistol pointed at me. So he goes, do your thing and get out of here. I mean, you know, what do you, I don't know. I don't know.
And like
if
you
I'm
said,
scared.
there's no Kells back in those days, so nobody's listening to you, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just up there just hanging out. And,
Well, the great thing about that was he didn't touch the dope. For whatever reason, I didn't get to go back because they caught him literally like a week later. They broke into a business complex, and they got him. Jake, the feds took the cases, you know, so it worked out good. I didn't really even want to go back there. Guys were wrestling around.
What a story. I can tell you one of the funnest things riding with the colonel back in the day in the 8th District was he's fresh out of narcotics, and we had pagers. We had those beepers. And he still had a full onslaught of CIs, informants. And we'd be handling radio calls in the 8th District, but his beeper would be going off, and we go and do this. We got all kinds of dope just
we did
in
good.
uniform from his old CIs.
We even went up in the 6th and did some search.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
search
Yeah,
warrants.
yeah. We were talking last week about how we kicked in our own doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Those days
JJ's
are
SWAT
changed.
guy. Yeah, those days.
And we're going to talk with Chief Speece about that too. How things have changed in how we operate over the years and how things have changed.
Well,
Yeah, great.
Well, let's say this too, though. So you talk to Chief Speece, who's safety conscious first. My hat's off to him. Always tremendous respect for him. And Lieutenant Joyner, safety first with his crew.
Right.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Keep
100%.
your guys on their toes and doing everything you can. You know what Larry said to me yesterday? He goes, Jerry, I don't even know how we did what we did. He goes, it was.
Oh, that's
very
what we were saying. That's what our
incredible.
point was.
And then just to give Larry further kudos, is he ended up being like he went to DEA and was the
I was coming to. Go ahead.
anti-Shea
Tell me.
of like Aruba and what was those ABC
Well,
islands, right?
No, well, I don't know. He went to
Because when we went with the Dartys to vacation there, and we were trying to hook up because obviously, and this is Steve Darty, who Jerry mentioned worked with Larry,
Larry's partner,
and we were trying to hook up with him, but we could never hook up with him. But he was with DEA.
Well, in
then.
'84, in 1984, the DEA had this massive hiring program because they really wanted the war on drugs, right? Larry goes, got accepted, went to Quantico, and then goes right to New Orleans. And he said, Jerry, you got to remember, a lot of the people the DEA was still hiring were guys with business degrees, not much law enforcement. And he goes, and even the policemen, he goes, I had so much experience with John Corona, and they got Johnny Burke, Greg Skinner, Dan Swan, Buck Carter.
I think Zambo was with that crew too, wasn't he?
What's
Bob
that?
Zambo was with that crew too, wasn't he?
Well, Zambo went to DEA.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he worked with them, but I had Junius Ransomville, Stan Beck, Herb Gardner, Beverly Noble bought dope, was on the street crew later. But Larry said I had mounds more experience than them. He goes, but everything changed when he went to Guatemala. He goes, we're doing 1,000 kilo seizures every other day, doing control buys, doing some undercover work. He ends up going to Bogota I never heard of this, in a cross-fertilization program, CIA and DEA. And for 2 years, he actually worked out of the CIA office as part of the building where DEA was.
Top secret.
He goes, yeah, exactly. He goes, but the very great thing is they're getting intel, DEA wasn't. And then he goes, I could slide over because they wanted us to make the cases. He goes, it was unbelievable. Then the last year he was there. But at some point, I wrote it down. He was the senior executive service officer, regional director for Mexico and Central America.
That's where that's when we went to Aruba.
Okay.
And then that's when we went to Aruba, and then Darty was trying hard to hook up with him.
Then he was the deputy SAC in Miami, I think.
And then I believe his daughter became a policeman for a little bit, and also went to DEA. And also went to DEA.
I don't know about.
Did.
She was a sergeant. She was my aide in the 4th District. Just
Maybe not.
Just the great Brandy Doby.
Oh yeah.
His stepdaughter. Just the greatest human being in the world.
awesome.
So,
Colonel,
That's
how old were you when you were buying drugs, when doing that?
So I came out. I was 23, so like 26 and a half.
Wow.
26, 27.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was amazing. It's amazing to go there when John Doherty was the chief of detectives.
Well, you named about 30 legends.
Yeah,
and while you've been telling these stories, it's just legend after legend of just great policemen. And
Well, I'm glad the name John Corona came up because he's a guy that most of us didn't know because he was undercover.
Yeah.
The whole time and just did amazing things and infiltrated all kinds of motorcycle groups and things like that.
I mean, really dangerous stuff. Can I tell just one?
Let's go, baby. We're good. Let's finish it off with a good one.
Well, it's not a good one. It's just how Corona was because he was a very funny guy.
Corona was great.
Extraordinarily intelligent, and I mean he's a war hero. But John had a lot of connections with different munis and different organizations across the river, county, city, out in like Shrewsbury, Sunset Hills. Okay, and by the way, I sent John a picture. The producers sent some scouts from one of the Cheech and Chong movies that they filmed part of it here in St. Louis.
Up in Smoke.
No, one Up in Smoke. I can't
my
remember
favorite.
the name of it. Yeah, but it's not that. And they went. He goes, go find a biker house, some biker bar. And John's in there. And they asked him if they didn't know they thought he was a biker. And I sent John a picture of him in between Cheech and Chong. I told you I went to the visitation. He was still getting like $17 royalty checks every
From
month
that picture?
for that movie.
Really?
Played it. Yeah, it's just.
I'm gonna have to find that movie.
I'll if I
You send me
look
that
at their
movie, I'll
list
find
of
it. If you just
I'll
send me the movie, I'll find them.
So we would go different places, and of course you worked bars a lot. Besides the stuff, like he let me run pretty good doing the projects. Should we tell the Larry Dickerson story, John? I think we should end on the Larry Dickerson.
I really like the Larry Dickerson story.
All right,
Here we go.
we'll end on that. I'll save the Corona story for another time. It's a quickie, but all right, last story. Buying Tees and Blues and another open air market in the Clinton Peabody projects. And you got to be on your toes. But again, white guys could cop down there, but we had a rule in narcotics. Two white guys couldn't cop together because that just
Too many white guys.
two white guys together.
They just
but
get
I
robbed.
actually could bring Tom Clifford there because there's a white guy that
Carl?
took me down there, Carl. And so Terry James was invaluable in this. And you know, he had Kurt Schrum. Those guys they knew everybody. But Willie McCall, I remember calling him when Terry wasn't working, and the other guys too. So probably get 10 or 12 people identified. And then one night I go down there and it's a ghost town. So a guy comes up to me and he goes, Tom's driving. I'm on the passenger side. Comes up to me and he obviously had seen our car. And we had a little red Cutlass at the time. Weird car, but it was working. And he goes, what are you looking for? I go, where is everybody? He goes, it's hot down here. And he goes, we've got a little war going on. He goes, if you want to get turned, he goes, you got to go over to the high rises, which is Dark's Web, and do your lights twice. Somebody will come over to you and flip you. So I go, fine. So I told Tom, let's go over there. So he goes, man, we ain't never bought any dope over there. I go, I don't care. Yeah,
I know.
Whatever. So we go into the parking lot off of Shoto, and the high rises are here, and then you would go through into a courtyard, and then the ones that faced Tucker facing east, you know, you couldn't see them from where we were, but, you know, you're just like in a big circle. And I know there's a courtyard there. So guy comes up to me. He's got like an army jacket on, kind of husky guy. He goes, what you looking for, bro? And I said, just 4 and 4, man. Where is everybody? He goes, well, it's hot over there. He goes, come on. He goes, I'll take you. We'll take care of you. So I go, I got to come with you, which we never did. Everybody flipped you right at the car. They just wanted to get you in and out. He goes, yeah. All right, so this ain't, this isn't the greatest idea. The Tom goes, no, man, we ain't getting out of the car. You either flip us or wait. So he goes, hey, I'm not talking to him. He goes, just come with me. He goes, if you're with me, ain't nobody gonna mess with you, man. So I told Tom, all right, I'm going. He goes, Jeff, don't go. I go, I'm going. So we walk. He has his arm around me. He goes, what's your name, man? He goes, I'm Larry, you know. And so he takes me through the first high rise, go into the courtyard. It was cold out. Then we walk around and we walk into the lobby where you go the steps or go through. And there's an older guy with 4 guys around him. They all got their hands like this, like they got pistols underneath their coats. Except the first guy I see as I walk in, there's a guy named Ulysses Martin, one of the best amateur boxers to ever come out of 12th and Park. Tremendous boxer. I know him because his sister Ricky was a nurse at the old city hospital. They're real light skin, and she was great. I loved her. So I had seen, even my dad was with me. We'd watch him fight at the electrician's hall. He's an unbelievable fighter. Should have been a pro. Well, he's in there. I think he's got his hands on his gun. And luckily, I've got long hair and a beard because the summer before I went to narcotics, he'd been in the military for a little while, got out, and I heard that he's getting ready to have a fight. Well, he gets stopped on Delmar by Taylor by some 8th District older guys, and they get a little dime bag of weed. And as I come around, they're getting ready to handcuff. So I get out real fast. I go, guys, no offense. I go, his sister's Ricky, the gal at the City One. They go, we don't care. I go, but he was in the military. We don't care. I go, he's a great boxer. Can you give him a hustle? I go, he's no trouble.
On a nickel bag?
Yeah, seriously. So they never went to narcotics. Anyways, you know, it's like, what the heck? So they go, all right, man. They go, you're lucky you got a friend here. So he goes, you know my sister? I go, yeah. I go, plus me and my dad watched you fight 100 times. We shake hands. Well, now I'm looking right at him. He's looking right at me. That was that didn't feel good. So the guy pulls out the D, and we do the exchange, and we walk back, and this guy goes, "Can you remember a phone number?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Call this number. It's my sister's house. I stay with my sister." He goes, I bring you down here anytime you want, or we could go over to the Vaughn and get heroin, whatever you want to do. I'm telling you, man, as long as you're with me. So they could never, nobody knew who the old guy was. They weren't there when they went down there. That's one guy never got ID'd, and I ended up, and I like the guy to this day, but I accidentally, doing a gun grant when we were in housing job, we got Micey with doping guns. Oh boy. So he did a little time, but I love the guy. But anyways, he did take me to the Vaughn. I got 2 or 3 guys. Well, we get him indicted. He never flipped me, but he's facilitating the deal. It's just as good.
Conspiracy.
So he gets indicted. Somehow he's able to make bond. And then really, I'd like to let John tell the main part of the story, if you don't mind.
Well, Larry Dickerson, he's out on bond. He's, he's looking for money or whatever, but he ends up showing up at an office building downtown on Bemis.
No, in Clayton.
In Clayton, rather, on Bemiston, which I think is where the Justice Center is now. It's 111 South Bemiston.
That's right.
So he shows up at this office. Well, it turns out it's a undercover office for the Secret Service because they're investigating all these stolen government checks, and they were using this office to bring informants in and paying them to go out and get these stolen checks. So Larry Dickerson finds out somehow. He goes down there, he pushes the buzzer on the door and says, "Hey, I'm here to see so and so, another informant." So they buzz him in. The Secret Service guys do. There's 2 of them in this office. Well, Dickerson walks in the office and pulls a pistol and is robbing the Secret Service. So he makes the one agent turn around, and he takes $1,000 out of his pocket, which was, snitch money. And then he makes the Secret Service agent take his necktie off, and he's getting ready to tie his hands up with it. Well, they had a third agent in the back who was like the backup guy. And should I use his name? Or
Yeah, I think it's all right.
Yeah, Mark Lowry, and who was a
Chief's son.
Yeah, he's like their backup. Well, he comes out of the back and charges Larry. Larry fires 2 shots at Mark, misses, and Mark unloads on the guy with his 44 Magnum and shoots him 5 times in the stomach or hits him 5 times in the stomach and kills Dickerson.
I was going to say anything.
Oh my! That's how that ends.
That's how that ended.
But the funny part is though, they had a.
If there's a funny
part. Sounds funny.
It was a fake business, but on the door it said S&S Enterprises, which I took as Secret Service. I mean, Dickerson should have known S&S. Don't go in there.
He doesn't sound like a very intelligent guy.
So they sent a Secret Service agent to investigate me. I didn't know about it, and they're like, they tell me what happened, and they go, the reason we want to talk to you, what was he like? I go, well, he told me as long as I was with him, nobody'd ever rob me or hurt me, and I go, he's a nice guy to me.
And thank God I wasn't with him that day.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Wow.
All right.
So before we let you go, we've talked a lot about the things you're great at. That little snub nose with the brown wood handle you had on you. Big boy would have been safe. The CI would have been safe. Everybody in the room would have been safe. It'd have been 5 shots discharged in various drywall because you're the worst shot.
I have the worst shot.
And then when you jumped in your car to drive off, you would have hit 17 dumpsters.
Danny, am I a worse driver or shooter? Probably shooter.
It's close.
I have a bad
It's
driver.
close. But, I mean, we can say it because we're both retired now. Never wrote a police report on him. I go, hey, Holmes, we just hit a dumpster. Dean, we got screw that dumpster. Hey, we
these
just hit
cars ain't
another
worth the
dumpster.
fuck anyway.
Screw that. Is it bad?
This
I don't
cutlass
know.
sucks anyway.
We need to stop and look.
Do you
screw
really
that.
think they're worried about a dent in an old Nova?
Right. Exactly.
You're coming back again. Thank you very
Always
much.
great to
Hey,
see you.
Yes.
Jimmy.
Always good.
Yep.
Good to see you guys.
Hey, we've got
Joan Rivers.
we got 3 old 8 district guys. I want to raise a toast to Harlem Tap Room.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
There you go.
Tornado. Yeah.
Yep.
Fine memories.
Witt's
yeah.
Underground Lounge.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Colonel
The old
Page's
the old
church.
8th district he was talking
Yeah.
about does not exist
Danny,
really anymore.
Colonel Page's church at
yeah.
Labadie and Marcus decimated. That beautiful Centennial Church decimated.